Y'all, what's going on, man? So it's time to talk about it. All right, college football playoff rankings have officially dropped, man. And it's very intriguing to say the least, man. We'll start at the bottom before we get to the controversy at the top. All right, man. Memphis, they picked up the big win, obviously, over Tulane. Tulane is obviously going to be in their championship. I think it's AAC championship. But Memphis was able to do their thing, man. They upset them in that game on the road. Shout out to them, man. Big time win for Memphis. Nonetheless, Army continue at number 24. They've been doing their thing. Colorado, unfortunately, is going to be in a bowl game. Pretty much have no way of getting in. But a big time win for them, obviously, against Oklahoma State, man. 52-0. Travis Hunter went off in that game. 3 touchdowns, over 100 yards receiving, and a pick. All right, next up, and I think so. I talked about it obviously earlier this week, but Syracuse, I think they should have been ranked where they are at. You know what I'm saying? Humbly, man. Big win for them against Miami. At home, had a good season under head coach Fran Brown. They've been doing anything all year long. Kyle McCord just was named second team All ACC. I'm going to have a video out on that a little bit later on. But he was electric all year long. I think Trevor Payne also won second team All ACC. That offense was electric all year. They tried to call that man a game manager, and he was not that. You know what I'm saying, all year. So a big win for them. We talked about Illinois already in their big time win against Northwestern. They continue to be ranked. They're doing big things in the Big Ten this year. Shout out to them. UNLV, that matchup obviously against Boise State is going to be very intriguing, to say the least. If you're Boise State, you might want to win that game. You know what I'm saying? Because if you lose, you could potentially open up the floodgates for one of these teams to kind of get in there before we talk about them. Obviously, we've already talked about Missouri earlier in the week. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, Luther Burden has officially declared for the NFL draft, so that is it for them, or for him. He's not going to play in the bowl game. I wouldn't if I declare for the draft. Be an interesting team to see going forward. They got some pretty good recruits coming in, but interesting to see what steps they take forward in the bowl game they're going to get. Next up, BYU, man, 10-2 season, pretty good for them. Just unfortunately, couldn't win those games like against Kansas. Couldn't win the couple weeks prior. So just some ugly losses, but nonetheless, BYU is still a pretty good team. Now, if you're Clemson, you lost to South Carolina at home. A close game. Lenore Sellers ate you up, ate you alive. You know what I'm saying? He had his touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, and now over 100 yards rushing. But if you're Clemson, you got a shot, right? You got to play SMU. So I think one of those are going to knock each other out humbly. Now, I'm not sure. We're going to talk about that here in a second. But if Clemson, you win, you win. I mean, that's all you can ask for being a 17 seed. You get an automatic bid out of the ACC. So it's going to be intriguing to see. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. Next up, Iowa State and Arizona State. So the committee is not ranking these teams pretty high. Now, both of those teams are going to play for a Big 12 championship. So it's going to be interesting. Likely the loser is done. That's what it's looking like based off these rankings. It looks like Arizona State or Iowa State, whoever wins, they're going to be the automatic bid, and that's going to be a wrap. You know what I'm saying? Humbly. Sucks that is the case. I think two teams have had pretty good years, but the 2-loss team, you know, and whoever wins is going to get in. Now, next, I know the controversy. Everybody's going to talk about it. South Carolina being ranked 14, that's foul, that's disrespectful. Look, I understand it, man. We're going to talk about some more of the controversy here in just a second. Now, I think South Carolina should be in. Y'all blew up my last video over nearly 9,000 views. I'm with you, Gamecock Country. I'm with y'all, all right? Y'all should be in the tournament, I humbly believe. But looks like the committee is valuing other things. Now, if you are South Carolina, the thing you got going for yourself is you got some teams that's going to knock each other out, all right? Now, you got SMU. They got to play Clemson. Somebody's going to knock the other out. Hate to say that, you know what I'm saying? And then you got, obviously, well, Penn State is probably going to get in. But I would say that's the big one. And you got Boise State. That's the other one. Boise State and UNLV, right? Now, if UNLV wins, they get an automatic bid, right? But that bumps Boise State out. You know what I'm saying? So you could hope for that also potentially as well. We're going to see. But y'all right on that bubble. Ole Miss, I told y'all how I felt about them. Really good overall team. Jackson Dart just not winning those big games. It hurt losing to Florida. You know, and not take care of business. The win against Georgia helps you. You had 13, right? You need some help. Same in the situation in South Carolina. You need some help. Now, the committee right now in Miami is a bubble team, and they are prioritizing them only having 2 losses currently, right? That's what we're seeing. And it's unfortunate because their defense is not very good, but you have the potential Heisman finalist and Cam Ward on your football team who can sling the football, and he's exciting to watch. So I think the committee is looking at that as well. 2 losses, 1 to Georgia Tech. We've seen how good Georgia Tech is. They had Georgia on the ropes and dominated that game. Now, it's crazy to me that Georgia's up 2 points. We'll talk about that later. But nonetheless, we've seen how good Georgia Tech is. What hurts them is losing to Syracuse, right? If you didn't lose that game, you felt pretty good. But losing to Syracuse really hurt you. Now you're on the bubble. But luckily, the committee is favoring you over Ole Miss and South Carolina, and they have no more games to play. So you do feel pretty good about that if you're a Hurricanes fan. Now you got to just hope it goes well and the committee continues to keep you in that spot. Now the wild one, and the one that's going to show a lot of bias, is Alabama being ranked above some of those teams. Now, respectfully, they did beat South Carolina, but they have not. They did not play Ole Miss. But when you look at Alabama, them being ranked over a 2-loss Miami is kind of crazy. Now, strength of schedule, theirs is better, but still being a 3-loss team and you got pummeled on the road at Norman in Oklahoma, to be ranked 11 is kind of crazy. I'm not going to lie to you. And they don't play any more games. So now you're looking and you're like, okay, is Bama going to get in? Now, I understand about Nick Saban and Saban Field. I know he's no longer the coach. You got Kalen DeBoer, and the program is good, and it's a blue blood. But still, bro, to be ranked 11, I think that's probably the craziest thing, man. Seeing them ranked over, and some of these teams are going to say that, the Ole Misses and the South Carolinas. Why is Bama ranked ahead of us, especially Ole Miss, when we have the same record, but you know what I'm saying, and we have the same strength of schedule or close to it. That's very intriguing to see, man. So that's going to be the controversy, man. 11, Bama being ranked over 2-loss Miami. That's a lot of controversy, man. It's going to show a little bit of the bias of the committee. All right, next up, you got Boise State, right? You know, you win if you win. That's how I look at it if it's Boise. It's not going to be an easy game against UNLV, but I wouldn't want to play no games, getting the ball to Ashton Jeanty, let Madsen get back down there, throw that rock, you know what I'm saying, and win that game and do what you're supposed to do. All you got to do is win. It don't matter how much you win by. It don't matter any of that. Just win the game, win the championship, automatic bid. You're probably going to end up being a 4 seed, barring anything foreseen happen. Next up, Indiana. I like that they still rank. I know a lot of people are coming from them. They have 1 loss all year. Okay? 1 loss all year. All right, let's give them some credit. Let's give them some praise. They deserve to be in the college football playoff. 1 loss. We're not going to punish them for going up against one of the better teams in college football. Now, they didn't show that on Saturday, but Indiana should be in. It is a team I want to see. Now, SMU, I'm going to be for real. Y'all number 8. Good spot. I don't know. I think y'all playing with fire. Y'all lose, I don't see them keeping y'all in. I just don't. Especially with Bama being in as a 3-loss team. I think SMU, you got to win that game against Clemson, get that automatic bid, and do it like that. Now, if Clemson wins, it's going to throw a whole wrench in the whole college football playoff, and it's going to be interesting to see on Selection Sunday, that next Sunday after championship weekend, what's going to happen, or championship Saturday, I should say, what happened. If you're SMU, you got an all-ACC player in Kevin Jennings who won 3rd team. You feel pretty good about what he can bring you. Run the football, keep the ball away from Clemson, force Cade Klubnik into some mistakes. That's how I would look at it if I'm SMU, man, and handle your business and show why you should be in the college football playoff by winning that game against Clemson. Now, Tennessee, same thing. They're not playing for a SEC championship, so you at number 7. Nothing can really affect you. I mean, you got through the gauntlet of the SEC. You beat Alabama. And you deserve to be in. I don't see really their positioning changing too much. Now, Ohio State, some of y'all, that's going to be more controversial too. Why are they number 6 when they lost at home and were highly favored against Michigan? They shouldn't have lost that game, right? I feel y'all. I see what y'all talking about. But again, we have to take into consideration that this is one of the best teams in college football. Now, they did not show it. I don't know what it is against Michigan. Ryan Day is 1-4 somehow, some way. But this team definitely deserves to be in at 6. It is a little high. I would have maybe moved them down to 8, but I think the committee is looking like they're one of the better teams in college football. That's why we have them rated at 6. Next up, you got Georgia. Georgia at 5 is a little high for my liking. I get it, but they did struggle against Georgia Tech. They finished the job nonetheless, but y'all know my thoughts about Georgia later on in the week. I'll leave it at that. Notre Dame picked up a big win. We talked about that against USC. Great game. Pick 6s. Riley Leonard looked good. Jeremiah Love did his thing. I like them at number 4. They would be number 5 when it comes to college football playoff. Penn State, Oregon. Now, this is one that you could see Penn State fall down if they lose to Oregon. If they beat Oregon, that's going to be interesting to see what the committee does because then they would be the champion and they would get an automatic bid. So would they be the number 1 or would you give it to Texas if they beat Georgia? That's going to be intriguing as well. Texas look good. I think they will handle business against Georgia. We'll talk more about that later on in the week. But that's going to be an interesting conversation, especially with 1 versus 3 in the Big Ten championship. And if you're Oregon, just handle your business. Let's look at the playoff real quick, though. All right, so if it started today, this is how it will look. Penn State will play Arizona State. I kind of like that matchup. I think it'll be really intriguing. Arizona State is a pretty good team. Tennessee, Ohio State, sign me up, man. In Columbus, Ohio, going up against Tennessee in that offense, woo, that'd be a good one. Then you got Bama, Notre Dame. Lord, that in the first round? Bama, Notre Dame? Woo. And last but not least, Georgia and Indiana, a good one.